Greetings, one and all, to the most cursed, most cringiest corner of the internet. A YouTube channel content creator actively alienating everyone in both the analog and digital world. Well, welcome and good evening, you wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar D8. Has anyone seen Kraus-san yet? We've been calling him for a while, but he hasn't answered. Could the receiver be off the hook? No, we could hear it ringing. There's no way he didn't hear it. Well, what does it mean? You don't think Uncle Kraus, too? Figures. I hate to say it at a time like this, but there were 4 in the guest house plus Genji to make it 5. I figured there would be one more. Why? How could you know that? Are you the culprit? Did you kill George? Stop it, Ava-san. Now is not the time. Ava got agitated and grabbed at Kairi. Nanjo stepped in between them and it grew into a bit of a scuffle. Watching this, Erica smiled condescendingly and shrugged. Of course. It's natural to guess there were 6 victims after seeing the crime scene in the guest house. There were only 4 corpses, so it'd make you wonder where the other 2 were. How could you know such a thing? You killed them? You killed George. Quit it, Ava. Erica-chan, Kairi-san, how can you know that? Can't you think before you talk? It's simple connection to make. The scribble drawn at the scene of the crime in the guest house was a magic circle. I just try to think of things connected to both magic and murders. Ah, so it's the epitaph, huh? I see. It's the first Twilight. Huh? What's going on? Well, I don't have a clue either. Is that how it is? That damn witch. So is this really Beatrice Sama's doing? Why do you all keep talking as if you know something? I don't have a clue. Someone explain. I told you, Ava, calm down a bit. That's how it is. Ever since I saw the magic circle at that crime scene, I imagine this might be a plotline murder following the epitaph's first Twilight, which would mean there are 6 victims. Simply by the existence of the magic circle in that place. This level of reasoning is possible for Frudo Erica. Okay, it's fine for you to say that a couple times, but the fact that we've heard you say that over a dozen times already, in what is less than 24 hours of you having been introduced to these people, most of that involved people being asleep or getting murdered, you're being a bitch. What do you think, everyone? It's very rude to do that. So Uncle Kraus was also killed. We can't be sure of that. Kraus-san isn't the only person who hasn't come here, right? There's one more. For just an instant, Natsui's brow furrowed, so she hadn't been able to avoid the topic of the study after all. You don't mean Dad. Hey, someone must have contacted the study, right? Of course we called and even knocked on the door, but there was no answer. Father is immersing himself in his research. He sometimes leaves the receiver off the hook because he doesn't want to be called, even ignores the knocking. But the phone was ringing. Anyway, let's first check to see that my husband's safe. Let's go to his room. Natsui stood up in a flurry and dashed out into the corridor. Rudolph and the others immediately chased after her, telling her to wait. Come on, let's all go together. In both third-rate mystery and third-rate horrors, people who act alone tend to die first. Yeah, this game is just the same. Beato really is third-rate. Giggle. Oh, but in third-rate disaster movies and third-rate action movies, people who act alone do survive, right? Weird. Giggle. Even though the epitaph has already been solved, who's behind this farce? It might be the work of this man from 19 years ago who was thought to be Lady Lambda Delta's piece. Ah yes, that can't be true. In the aims up until now, Beato has already stated that Kenzo has vanished, meaning that no more than 17 people exist and no 18th person exists. Now that Erica's been added, it's been stated that no 19th person exists. There's no room for this man from 19 years ago to appear on the island. So the man from 19 years ago is disguised as one of the existing humans. Or else... Cackle. Even if a 19th person isn't permitted by Red, slipping in a 19th person is no trouble for me, no trouble for witches. Now it's getting interesting. Why don't we watch this a little longer? Still, those two witches have finally started to do whatever they pleased with my game board, haven't they? Didn't you know that would happen when you invited them? Humph. As a witch, I have the same dislike for boredom as they do. Even the unexpected brings the kind of joy of a witch expects. Very well, bring it on. It's great that you're so eager, but things have taken a nasty turn. Get it? Indeed. Perhaps this isn't the best time to wait and see what happens next. I know that. At this rate, Kinzo's existence will become an issue once again, and the barrier around the study won't last long. That isn't all. Things are going to get even worse. See? Move 1, move 2, move 3. And then you're cornered. Natsui. Gape whispered something into Beato's ear. Beato's mouth slowly widened into a grin. Erica bringing everyone together is actually convenient for us. All darkness outside the range of the observers belongs to us demons. This may be the only time to make that move. Natsui is the king. She can't move far, but we cannot allow her to be taken. Let's take the initiative. If we slip up here, Natsui will be cornered. Gape, can I count on you? Of course. I'll blow a hole through closed room trick, alibis, and mysteries alike. Leave it to me, I'll handle it. Gape was swallowed up along with the chair she sat on into a pitch-black hole that opened on the floor and then disappeared. After that, a hole opened on the ceiling and spat just the chair back out, returning the place to the way it had been. This is becoming troublesome. I see. Against Lady Lambda Delta, even I am nothing more than a mere piece. So in the early game, I must worry more about expansion than losing or taking pieces. Cackle. I'm just no match for that person. I won't let her do that. Natsui is the final master I will serve. Know that this is a piece you'll never be allowed to take, so long as she has a contract with me, Beatrice. Krause's room was empty. The bed was too. But massive bloodstains similar to the other crime scenes remained. But there was no corpse. Nope. Then he isn't dead. Maybe not, heh. What's going on? Where's Nissan? Judging by the bloodstained bed, I don't like to think about it, but we should probably assume that he was killed and he had his neck cut open, just like the people in the guest house. Probably. Judging by the amount of blood loss, it's hard to imagine that he's okay. But where did Kraus-sama go? Large amounts of blood stained the top of the bed, but there was no similar marks on the floor of the room. Whether Kraus had been seriously wounded and wandered off somewhere or killed and carried somewhere, they had no clue where this somewhere might be. Natsui knew. Though Kraus had been sounding far from his best over the phone, at least he hadn't sounded like he was on the brink of death. In other words, these bloodstains had to be a setup. That might not even be blood. However, just what was that man thinking? What's this supposed to be? What the heck? So, on the first try, there were 6 sacrifices. Was Kraus Nissan in the habit of locking his door? We just came in without unlocking it. Yes, Kraus-sama also had a habit of locking up. At this house, Madam has ordered that all non-public areas be locked. How many keys can unlock Uncle Kraus's room? In addition to the one Kraus-sama held, there's the master keys. Oh, and all that stuff about keys is pointless argument. Did you forget that Genji-san is already a victim? His master key is missing. That means all the locks in this mansion are meaningless. How boring. In other words, no closed room murders have existed or will exist in this mansion. Sheesh. This is getting to be a pretty boring mystery. Erica laughed off this murder in disappointment as though it was something that she was watching on TV. I can't understand it. Why is her world so different from ours? It's almost like she's in a separate dimension from us. Was Jessica also like this in a bed? Yes, that's right. Just like George, her neck was cut. Jessica. Let me be with Jessica. I haven't even seen Jessica's face yet. Jessica? Well, wait up, Natsui-san. The culprit might still be hiding nearby. It would be dangerous to let her be alone. Natsui flew out of the room and dashed toward the guest house this time. It was only natural. Natsui still hadn't even seen Jessica's dying face. Everyone probably thought that. Of course, even Natsui was half thinking that. The other half was her desire to shift everyone else's attention away from the study. Strange crimes had occurred, the gold had been discovered, and some relatives have even recommended Battler to be the successor. Even in these twisted circumstances, she had to protect Kenzo's secret. If my head is going to be racked by this suffering anyway, please just let my head explode right now. That way I won't have to suffer any longer. So, everyone, for Natsui's sake, let's return to the guest house for the time being. Though it's not as though seeing their dead faces are going to lead to any new developments. Do you even have a heart? A heart? What's that? Just seeing her daughter's dead face wouldn't bring Jessica back to life, nor would it heal Natsui's anguish. On the contrary, she would probably wail, wasting a considerable amount of time before being able to think properly again. This probably sums up Erika's screwed-up argument. Just seeing their dying faces won't lead to any new developments. Like hell it won't. Beato's pieces have brought about a really interesting change. What in the... Natsui flew into the cousin room on the second floor of the guest house, and was struck dumb by the blood-stained beds and the eerie magic circle which was like been drawn by the victim's blood. Where is Jessica? Where is she? Jessica? In that bed? A bed where? Huh? George. Well, where is he? Wait a sec. What the hell is going on here? We made sure to lock this room when we left, right? We can now be certain the culprit has a master key. Once again, my reasoning was correct. Who cares about that? Where did they go? Well, where did everyone's corpses go? Heh, nice trick. Hey, look, it's magic, right? That Gape who's with Beato hid the corpses somewhere with magic. All of us moved together, so you're trying to say that everyone had alibis. Your reasoning goes like this, right? The four of them weren't actually dead, they were just playing dead. Then, when no one was around, they hid somewhere. Am I right? You don't intend to proclaim any other deaths in red now, do you? Of course I won't, and like that dolt Beato, I don't give out the red for free. In that case, I'll be glad to use the blue truth. I can think of many ways to work around something of this level. Giggle. Sure, go ahead. Blue truth time. Here's the first one I can think of. The victims aren't actually dead. They pretended to be dead, then secretly hid themselves somewhere. After all, you haven't proclaimed anyone's deaths with the red truth. Ha ha! Even though you've been shown their gaping wounds, you're still trying to... That one on principle, as long as there's no red. But don't get your hopes up. I'm not giving you a freebie red truth. After all, I just have to deny it all at once at the end of the game at midnight on October 5th. The witch's side has such a big advantage. It'd all be over now if that stupid battler was my opponent. But you aren't like that, right, Byrne? Of course. Anyone could have thought of that silly move. I have more. Second one. Kraus carried the corpses off and hid them. You've acted out so that it looks like you've kidnapped Kraus and locked him up somewhere, but he might actually be free. Kraus has no alibi. Kraus hid their corpses. Yeah, that's right. It's not like I proclaimed that Kraus was being confined with red truth. Giggle. You know how they say you've got to confuse your friends before you can confuse your enemies, so he lied to Natsui, making it seem like he'd been captured. Haha. Any others? Third one. The corpses were different people in the first place. They were substitute corpses that closely resembled the victims. George and the others were hiding from the beginning and later cleared up those substitute corpses. These corpses were dead from the very beginning, so they don't count towards the number of the people on the island. Ha 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 ha. That's messed up. So even though all those people gathered around and saw their dead faces, none of them realized they were substitute corpses. Since you haven't used the red truth, there's a possibility that everyone misidentified all of the corpses. Though if you feel like repeating, no one would misidentify a person. I'll withdraw that claim immediately, okay? No way, I'm not falling for that. The red truth's only useful if you use it with a flash, right? I'll take a single truth out of a large pile of blue and smash it with red. Then the rest of the blue truths will be swallowed up by the darkness before you can find out whether they were right or wrong. The darkness is the world of witches. You won't be given any truth at all. This girl acts like she's stupid, but she's not bad at all. She'll never rise to provocation. Looks like she understands the darkness of magic even better than the true game master Beato. And apparently Gape also understood that well. The move of hiding the corpses, it was pretty effective for both Lambda and Beato. In any event, I've thought up a A full 3 theories about the disappearing corpses. 3 blue wedges for a single riddle. That doesn't mean she can deny one of those 3. Unless she eliminates all 3 wedges, this riddle has been defeated. That's the ironclad rule of witch hunting. A single wedge isn't nearly enough. Only vampires die from a single stake. Compared to witches, vampires are weak. True witches won't die unless you stab them all over with stakes, right? It's the same with assassins, isn't it? It's only in Japanese manga that you see assassins kill their targets with a single perfect shot. Real assassins will empty out entire magazines worth of bullets. That's how you do things, right? Of course, it's the same for me. But it's this girl we're talking about, so she might slice it all in 2 with a single swipe of the red, by simply telling off a quick lines confirming their deaths and Krause's innocence with the red. She can remove all 3 of my wedges. Well, that's okay. When the red truth does come out, I just need to follow along with it and stab her full of blue wedges again. Giggle. This is how the game of witches plays out. Giggle. It's so fun. Battler, sluggish battles always pissed me off, so I'm loving this. Yeah, I understand, Lambda. The first Twilight is just the beginning of the beginning. It's just a skirmish, right? Giggle. Wouldn't have it any other way. I'll make you lose pathetically and cry out in regret as you crawl and scratch at the floor. I've almost forgotten the pleasure of grabbing that cute hair of yours and wiping the floor with it as I roll around laughing. The servant waiting room in the mansion had once again gone silent. There lay Genji's corpse, which had been covered completely with a blanket. In the ceiling of this cramped room, a pitch-black hole appeared. Captivating legs sprouted out, and gape floated downwards. We don't get to see those legs? Okay. Sorry, Genji. You probably want to enjoy your eternal sleep right there, but that's not going to be possible. Please disappear from this place so that you may serve Natsui, the final head of the Ushiromi family, even after death. Gape stripped off the blanket as she said this to Genji, who was sleeping peacefully. Then she stared at the deep wound in his neck. That's a nice cut. It must have been made with a single slice. Has anyone who's capable of this manifested yet? Not good. I can't think of anyone decent who might be capable of this. It goes without saying, but witches are capable of summoning beings with a strength proportional to their own ability. The great Lady Lambda Delta called that being here as a trump card, 19th person. Even optimistically speaking, this is on par with Renove and me. A pitch-black hole opened on the bed. Genji disappeared as though the bed had swallowed him up. Just like the 4 in the guest house, Genji's corpse was also hidden in some unknown place. It was a place that no one could find, located neither within the world nor the next. This world or the next. No longer would anyone be able to find their corpses. No longer would anyone be able to confirm their deaths. She carried Genji's corpse to the place of endless silence where it would never be disturbed. When there's no corpse, a person goes missing. When a person goes missing, people both suspect that they might be the culprit and suspect they might be the victims. Truly like the inside of a cat box. The darkness inside of a cat boxes that'll never be open is where we demons and witches reside. You were a bit too slow, Miss Great Detective. Gape licked her lips and gulped. I wonder why Gape-sama is going around hiding corpses. I don't know. But Gape-sama is pretty cool. She's just so awesome. Don't be stupid. What happened to standing guard? The humans are returning from the guest house. Gape-sama. Yes, let's disperse. This should be enough to give Natsui a way out. Gabe jumped into a pitch-black hole that had opened near her feet. Mammon said, I'm going in too, and jumped in, followed by Asma, who said, me too, and hopped in giggling. As Satan hesitated over what to do, the hole closed. And you call yourselves a member of the Seven Sisters of Purgatory? How childish. So stupid. Satan went bright red and got angry all by herself, then turned into gold butterflies and disappeared. It seems Gape has succeeded in moving the 5 corpses. Well done. However, the next part is tricky. They will probably be somewhat surprised at the disappearance of Genji's corpse, but their interest will most likely swing back to Kenzo's study after that. There are 2 keys to this study. It's fortunate that Natsui is in possession of both. If she had left one with Genji, it would probably have fallen in Lady Lambda Delta's hands by now. It seems that Lady Lambda Delta has no intention of hiding Kenzo's death. Apparently she plans to fight while ignoring the moat, towers, and ramparts that you have created. This has become a strange triangular confrontation. We are all each other's enemies, but we will sometimes join forces without notice. In a three-way fight, just when you think it's 2 against 1, it suddenly becomes 1 against 2. That's what it's like. That Chinese battle royale. Don't you think it's like the Records of the Three Kingdoms thing? Oh, the Longzong plan. That's quite a sophisticated analogy to hear coming from you, Pukuku. There were 3 empires in the Records of the Three Kingdoms, weren't there? Wei, Wu, Shu, right? That sounds just like us. So, which empire won out in the end? The power that gained control in the end was the Jin dynasty. A completely unrelated 4th party. The 3 empires you mentioned were all destroyed. Oh? I didn't know that. I thought one of the 3 empires won. Didn't the Wei have an overwhelming advantage? They had the position of emperor stolen from them, and their empire was subjugated and destroyed. The Sima clan, a noble family that Cao invited in as advisors, eventually gained central control in a power struggle and took over the country. So they were invited in as advisors, and they seized control. Cackle, very interesting. That Lady Lambda Delta cackle. Pardon me. The humans have confirmed the disappearance of Genji's corpse in the servant waiting room. They have started moving toward Lord Goldsmith's study. Riche, they're coming. Humph, let them come. The humans and the witches of certainty and miracles. If this is a 3-way fight, then we've got humans, witches, and... what should we be called? If the thing we're protecting for the time being is Kenzo's phantom, so are we the Phantom then? The Phantom Troop? Haha. I don't know if that's a Persona 5 reference, or if it's a Hunter x Hunter reference now. So why can't it be both? It's gotta be one. No, it doesn't. Father, it's not Sui. Good morning. There's no way he'll wake up if you do it like that. Father, it's Ava. Please wake up. It's an emergency. Ava pushed Natsui aside and knocked repeatedly with all her strength. Quiet down. You're being too boisterous. Is now really the time to be saying something like that? So, he isn't picking up the phone and he isn't responding to knocking either. That's troublesome. And he might be in a bad mood again. Kenzo-san sometimes considers even the slightest change to be an omen. And gets into a bad mood for reasons only he can understand. Ho ho ho, yes, that's true. This isn't something that started today. Is that how badly grandfather wants to shut himself away in his study? Yes. It's not uncommon for him to stay in his study for more than a month at a time. Don't tell anyone, but even though I work here, I sometimes forget the master even lives here. Goda! That's not the sort of thing a servant should be saying. My apologies, madams. I am truly sorry. Anyway, isn't it bad that we can't get in contact with him? In the worst case, father might not even know that there's been a crime, right? Well, I wonder. Keenly noticing the people were starting to doubt Kenzo's existence, Cannon mumbled those words. Who was the last person to meet father? And when? It was me, last night. Up until the time of the uproar from when Battler found the gold. I was in father's study giving the daily report. So at around 23 o'clock last night. No way around it. Let's open it up. Well, what did you say? This is the family head's precious study and research room. No one is permitted to trespass without permission, okay? Who here holds the highest rank? Me, right? I am the 3rd in rank of the Ushiromiya family. If we open it and get scolded by father, that's also the responsibility of the highest ranked. Because of the urgent circumstances, we'll open this door. You have a key, right? Open it. I believe you know this, but the study door cannot be opened with the master key. The master key has recently been taken away by Genji-sama's key as well. So he has both keys on his person. Therefore, so both of the keys that can open this door are inside the study. A closed room. Good. It's finally starting to get a little interesting. Stop touching yourself as you're saying that. It'd be pretty neat if Kinzo-san was lying on the bed in there with his throat cut. You're being too far indiscreet, Erika-san. Anyway, as you know, the door can only be opened by the keys that Father has. That means anyone, even a murderer, would find it impossible to even touch Father from the outside of the room. So Father must be okay. Still, that doesn't mean we shouldn't worry about the confirming his safety. Are you really so unconcerned for the safety of the Father you respect so much? That isn't... The atmosphere, which had been so agitated a second ago, suddenly went cold and an eerie feeling filled the room as everyone stared at Natsui. They could understand why Natsui would protect the study under normal circumstances. People knew that she probably didn't want to disturb the research of Kinzo, a man she certainly respected, and she was therefore trying to keep the unpleasant relatives away. However, this was an extraordinary situation. A murder had occurred. Several, in fact. Natsui's persistence in keeping things quiet for Kinzo, even in a situation like this, was hard to understand using common sense. There is a good chance that the crime occurring on this island will turn out to be a plotline murders mimicking the epitaph. It's probably a good idea to assume that the crimes will continue. If we view that as plotline murders, then it will keep going on until a total of 13 lives are taken. Do you have any concept of how many victims that would be? Wait a sec. How many people do you think there are on this island? Wouldn't it be almost everyone? Non, you've got it all wrong. As far as I know, the mystery novel with the most dead people in a serial murder, and the Then There Was None, by Agatha Christie, which had 10 deaths. In the realm of Japanese mysteries is probably the Tokyo Zodiac Murders by Shimada Soji, though there were less than 10 deaths in that one. Did you know? If 13 people die, as it seems that they will, it'll lead to the most infamous and famous development in the history of the mystery genre, the completion of a 13 serial murder case. 13-person serial murder case, right? And if everyone on this island is killed, that'd make it an historical achievement in the world of serial murder mysteries, with even more deaths than the longest murder mystery in the world, and the longest one in Japan put together, don't you see? But this is real life. You're talking about this as if you're a story competing with other stories. Hey, didn't you know, everyone? The culprit in this crime is giving us an incredible challenge, one that might even surpass all the mysteries throughout the world and throughout history. Of course, everyone realized that long ago, right? If you like mystery, Christie's a must-read. And if you're Japanese, it's only natural that you've read Shimada Soji's works all the way through. Are you sure you've been reading enough, everyone? Giggle. Thank you for the suggestions. It's useless. Huh? Looks like you haven't read enough yourself. Did I say something wrong? Erika, who had been chatting away happily all by herself up until a second ago, changed her expression into a displeased glare in an instant. What you were saying about the Japanese mystery genre. Sakaguchi Ango's non-serial murders beats the Zodiac murders. The number of people was the same in both, right? They tie for the record, but Non-Serial Murders was first published in 1947. The Zodiac Murders was 1981. If you know so much about it, shouldn't you have mentioned Non-Serial Murders first? Eric glared at Battler with an expression that couldn't be fully described with the word shock, and her arms shook as she stood there, lost for words. Yeah, that's so totally lame. Well, that's understandable. The crimes in Zodiac took place in 1936, right? That must have gotten her confused, right? Lambda Delta kept on hitting the table, overcome with laughter. Even Bern Costello, who had been struck with humiliation, snorted and started pounding the table and laughing in the same way. Piff! It's like they're two rich nobles watching their gladiators fight, and Bern Costello's gladiator tripped and got hurt, and first is like, maybe look bad. But it's like, it was funny though, right? Like, yeah, it was. It's like, you're a jerk. You're jerks. Not bad, Peace Battler. I thought we were going to make a reference to how many people died in Higurashi. I'm impressed. You must read a lot, don't you, Battler-san? Books? I hardly read those at all. You liar. You know quite a lot, don't you? Well, yeah, but it's in very bad form. To brag about it, it's not really nice. Besides, I read a lot because I have kind of fixation of reading things. It's definitely kind of out of the ordinary and kind of weird by everyone else's standards. But I don't Don't really see a point about discussing it. I just like sitting and reading my Warhammer book, or reading novels, or reading this. Because I just feel like it. I don't know, who else just likes to just sit and read things? Occasionally with anime music playing in the background. I never say something as arrogant as I'm a book reader. I am a book reader isn't something a person who doesn't even read 100 per year should say so lightly, don't you think? You mere piece. Ah, cough. Anyway, we can't let such a massive crime take place. That's right. At any rate, checking Dad's safety is our first priority right now. But what should we do? He's ignoring the phone and our knocks, and the keys are inside. There's nothing we can do. Are we supposed to knock this thick door down? That won't be easy. Father might have been attacked by someone and severely injured, and maybe he's waiting for someone to help him. This is an extraordinary circumstance, and even Father will understand. And if he has any rebukes, I'll be happy to take responsibility myself. Anybody that rebukes anybody in this situation for that circumstance, you're an asshole. But breaking a door down would be quite rude. What about the window? Do we own ladders on this island? As I stare right at her nipples. That's right. The window. Is there a ladder somewhere we can reach as high as the 3rd floor? We should be able to get inside by smashing the window. Okay, guys. I know this is kind of thinking outside the box here. But we're on a 3-story building, right? Possibly bigger. There's other windows on this floor. Is it possible, instead of having all the way to go to the fucking garden shed, carry a fucking ladder here? I know I'm being lazy. And then setting up next to and having to, and again, I don't like heights. Couldn't we just go to the room next to the study, break out the window, crawl on the roof, and then walk a couple feet over and break the other window? Erica finally came back to her senses, and her tone regained its decisive edge. The 3rd-story window, that would be dangerous. We won't know unless we try. Is there a ladder around here that can reach up the 3 floors? I don't think the ladder in the gardening shed is long enough. Oh, then what about the ladder in the boiler room? Why would you have a giant ladder in the boiler room? That doesn't make sense. Everyone's like, why are you complaining? I understand at this point it's more of a logistics issue. It's kind of like, it'd be like, imagine if you hear a bus went off a cliff in Pakistan and 400 people died. At that point, I'm less concerned emotionally about the loss of life and more like, how did you fit 400 people on a bus? How did you fucking do that? Was somebody sitting on a lap? Maybe I'm prioritizing the wrong things. I don't know. I remember using it earlier when a bird made a nest on top of the rain gutter? Yes, that would be able to reach that without a doubt. He must have been extremely happy about thinking about something Cannon hadn't. Looking pleased with himself as though he had won something, he glanced around at everyone. He was probably hoping that Natsui would praise him, but she quickly avoided his gaze. Of course, Cannon had known about the ladder too. However, in order to protect Kenzo's secret, he had intentionally pretended to have forgotten. But with this weather and the strong winds, isn't this just too dangerous? I agree. If someone gets seriously injured, we can't go to a hospital until tomorrow, right? And again, aside from breaking out a side window and going around, I mean, if the door is built to be sturdy as fuck, I mean, is the entire study encased in fucking steel? Are the rest of the walls, if it's just brick and wood, we can break a small hole through that. Can we not make explosives? Or, heck, can we, go in through the roof? Through the straight-up ceiling and we flood the building? What room is directly underneath Kenzo's study? Can we drill up through the fucking floor? The wind might not be as strong in the courtyard. Right, it's one of those, square buildings. You guys know what I mean. I'm not talking about, you guys know what I mean. It's where it's, 4 long things, and there's, an empty place on the inside. technically means you have two windows. You have a window that looks into the courtyard and one looks into like the rest of the island. I think it's at least worth to take a look. But truly, going up to the third floor would be quite a challenge. Back when we had to clean up the bird's nest, most of the servants shrank away from the danger. And that's when I, your humble servant, took on a major role in spectacularly handling the situation. Right, then there's no problem. Let's just get a ladder that'll reach. And it looks like someone here has already experienced with this sort of thing and has volunteered. Ha ha ha. Huh? Is Kinzo already being burned in the boiler room? The courtyard was surrounded on all four sides, so while the rain was still fierce, the winds had almost no effect. Fortunately, the ceiling jutted out a bit, so even the rain wasn't so bad. Okay, let's try standing the ladder up. Be careful. Don't hurt yourself. Sure. Rudolph and Battler carried the special ladder, which was designed for work on high places. 2 umbrellas followed the pair. Shannon and Cannon were holding the umbrellas and sheltering them from the rain. It doesn't matter if we get wet. Go back under the eaves. Go to Son. Even if there's something wrong with your knees, you can at least hold a ladder down, right? Yes. If only I had enough hyaluronan? I don't even know what that is. Going to ladder with no problem. I am truly sorry. Goda clambered forward to replace Shannon and Cannon. As she watched this, Kyrie giggled. Damn, Dad Hammer. Cool. Battler, you love athletics, don't you? Not as much as I love my cool handyman dad. You little brat. Sheesh, I guess I gotta show this son of mine some good side once in a while. Battler, Goda-san, hold that ladder down tight and make sure you're looking up, okay? My hand might slip and you'll have this hammer tumbling down on you. Don't worry. I'll catch it and smash your head in. After putting the hammer they'd gotten to smash the window in his pocket and cracking his knuckles, Rudolph started climbing. Will Rudolph-sama be okay? He'll be fine. That guy could totally be in an action movie. Plus, sports are one of his strong points. I wish you'd tell me how my skating prowess is supposed to help me climb ladders. I am in a bower, always in a big pinch, or whatever. He'll manage to avoid dying, so there's nothing to worry about. More importantly, we're really lucky the shutters aren't down. Isn't it a common practice to lower the shutters to Father's study for the night? Yes. When we were permitted to enter and exit, we opened and closed them in the morning and at night. However, I think it was decided that such a thing was unnecessary for the time being, so it was left open. I see. Father would be pretty mad, won't he? If his son smashes a window and comes in while he's sleeping, that's probably... It'll be wonderful if we didn't have to smash the window, don't you think? Both Shannon and Cannon knew that Kinzo no longer existed in this world. Natsui had ordered them to interfere as much as possible, but now that it had come to this, there was nothing the two of them could do. They had tried to interfere by pretending they didn't know about a ladder, that they could reach up to the third floor window, but because of Goda's showing off, that ladder had been found. Rudolph carefully climbed the ladder. He would reach the third floor window very soon. As he did this, Shannon and Cannon stared at him, looking uneasy. After this, what will happen next? To the two of them? To Madam? To the Master? Very soon, Rudolph will reach the window. So, that's already the end of this room's barrier. Haha. The soldiers are scaling the ramparts, trying to reach the other side. The moment of surrender is truly right before our eyes. I'm prepared to be erased at any moment. We can't let that happen. You have to remain alive, even if it means crawling through the dirt. I'll think about what to do next. For now, escape from this place. You may say that, but what can I do? Ava and the rest are still cramped out in the hallway, and Rudolph is approaching the window. There's no way of retreat through the door or the window. In that case, perhaps you could hide under the bed. Humph. So I am not even permitted the chance to wait for the enemy's arrival on my throne? You might have done that while you were still alive, but now you are a ghost Natsui and I brought to life. Ghosts should do what ghosts do best, and hide under the bed or in a closet. Will something like that really deceive their eyes? My. Don't worry. I'll be with you. I'll let you escape at the last moment. It'll be dangerous for you, even though you're a demon. You won't get away unscathed if you're burned by the magic-resisting toxin. Don't worry about that. Anyway, I need things to get at least that bad before my heart starts pumping. How comforting. I understand. I'll hide under the bed. Milady, Rudolph will reach the window very soon. Gabe, I've changed my mind. I'll guard this place. Hide yourself along with Renove. What did you say? You've got it backwards. Didn't we plan to leave this place to Gape and have you retreat, milady? Though Renove should have been used for her fickleness, this surprised This surprised him for the first time in a long while. Beato may have been a powerful queen, but she was also an important piece that mustn't be exposed to danger. Though she was strong, running to the front lines without any plan would not be a praiseworthy move. What kind of whim is this? It's just a whim. I'm not so fond of boredom that I could simply sip tea while leaving everything to you. I've just gotten the urge to jump into the struggle right away. I understand. It is your game, after all. You can do as you wish. I'll carefully watch over the corpses of the first toilet that I erased, making sure nothing happens to them. Sorry for stealing your time to shine. Is this really acceptable, my lady? You should know I like showing off even more than my 3 meals a day. I've done nothing but gobble up Gape's turn. Don't worry about it. Renove and Gape both fell silent, and the two of them had already noticed. Lady Bernkastel, who used Ferudo Ericus as a piece, was a terrifying opponent. This fight would probably be more terrifying as well. Beato couldn't expose Gape, her friend, to this danger. Beato bluffed and said that wasn't the case, but Renove and Gape had already figured it out. Therefore, after confirming Beato's resolve one last time and seeing that she was completely firm in her decision, they then nodded in silence and accepted it. I understand. I'll leave this place to you. I'm rooting for you. Take care. Yeah. Please watch over my efforts to your heart's content. Lady Bernkastel will probably start trying to expose Kinzo's absence with a closed-room argument. Fights in a closed room are normally Gape's area of expertise. Queens are commanders because they're best at fighting in wide-open areas. This won't be an easy fight. I'm fully aware of that. I currently serve Natsui. Watching Natsui's danger from above and letting Gape take care of it doesn't make sense to me. Understood. I wish you luck in battle. Be careful. If it becomes a complete closed room, we won't be able to come in and help you. I'll laugh at them a bit, and if things get bad, I'll just grab Kinzo and run for it. It's easy. With the door and the window, the past and the future to choose from, there are plenty of places to run to. Of course, I won't let this become a closed room. Though you won't see us, we'll be cheering you on from very close by. Good luck. Sure. Gape and Renove became a swarm of gold butterflies and disappeared, and Kinzo melted into the darkness beneath the bed. Then, Beato also became a swarm of gold butterflies and melted away inside the study. After that, all figures and signs of life had disappeared from the study, and once more regained the silence, as though no one had been there from the beginning. Then, Rudolph's outline slipped into view from beyond the window's curtain. Dad, if you're there, answer. Dad! As he yelled, he hit the window. His foothold was so uncertain that just hitting the window felt life-threatening. But of course, this was Rudolph, this show-off. Deciding that he couldn't do anything stupid so many people watching from below, he suppressed the fear from being so high up and boldly knocked on the window. Come on, grandfather. Can't he hear? I wonder. I hope he doesn't drop the hammer. How many seconds have passed? It's been 30 seconds since he knocked on the window. So he'll really smash it? The master will be very mad. Well, someone was kind enough to brag about how accepting that anger is her duty. So there's no need to worry. Rudolph-san, that's enough. Do it. Sure. Damn it, Dad, you better not complain after I smash it. He hit it several times, and eventually a fist-sized hole opened up in the glass. Because of this unstable footing, this took a lot of effort. Using the end of the hammer skillfully, he brushed aside the now fractured bits of glass and opened up the hole further, stuck his hand inside through it, and unlocked the window. Then, after a hard struggle, Rudolph somehow managed to open the window, and his body slipped through into the study. After that, he flopped onto the floor, using his entire body to enjoy the relief of having a ground under him. Dad, it's Rudolph. Answer me. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that Kinzo's study was a small villa he had created inside the mansion. A study. A library. A place to sleep, and a bathroom, and a washroom. It was divided into multiple rooms. That's right, with all this at your fingertips, it wouldn't be hard to spend your days in this study without leaving it all. The bed was empty. There was marks on it that had been made. It seems as though someone had slipped out, but there was no one in sight. This happens a lot in ninja movies. Someone finds that the bed is still warm, so the occupant couldn't have gone too far. Rudolph tried placing his hand on the bed, but he couldn't feel any heat at all. Not only was there no heat, it felt completely ice cold. And the bed wasn't the only thing that was ice cold. The air inside the room, and even the presence about it, if that's what the right word for it, even that felt ice cold. To Rudolph, it felt as though Kinzo had slipped out of this room a long time ago. However, it's been well cleaned. It has signs of having been lived in. Wrinkles in the bed, the slight angle of the chair. Here and there are many marks that would doubtlessly have been cleaned or fixed up if someone had come in to make the beds. As far as I can tell, off the top of my head, Dad must have slipped out of the bed several hours ago at the latest. That would be the same general time period as the brutal murder case. Guess we can't be sure of Kinzo's absence, and the crime aren't completely unrelated. For the time being, he leaned out of the window and told Kyrie and the others in the courtyard to come back up since he was going to unlock the door. Then he pushed the button on the study desk and released the door's auto lock. There was a heavy clunking sound, and Natsui and the rest dashed in immediately. Father, good morning. Sorry, but it isn't Dad. I'm the one who opened it. Was Kinzo-san there? Nope. It looks like someone slipped out of the bed, but you can't tell what happened. That happened. Natsuine-san was the last person to meet him, right? At around 11 o'clock last night. I wonder if that means he slipped out of the study sometime after that and went out somewhere else. Well, we must consider Father's fickle nature. It wasn't all that uncommon for him to suddenly wake up in the middle of the night claiming to have had a revelation in a dream and walk around the mansion. Isn't that right, Dr. Nanjo? True, this has happened before. Anyway, he is a fickle person. Right, Kumasawa-san. Oh, that's true. Perhaps he had a little strange dream and slipped out of bed. That isn't uncommon at all, yes. Then where did he slip off to? Does this mean there's a good chance Father's been caught up in this crime? See? We should have checked to make sure Father was safe from the beginning, right? We can't be so sure he isn't in the room. Maybe the culprit tied him up and locked him in the closet or something like that. Good point. Let's search. This is the head's precious study. You mustn't touch things without reason. Ah, yeah, that's right. There's something I need to tell you, culprit-san. When Natsui heard this said right in front of her, her heart froze. But Erika had only just happened to be standing right in front of Natsui when she said it. She had directed her words to the room at large. She hadn't been speaking to Natsui in particular. Natsui turned her back on Erika, trying to prevent her faltering expression from being noticed. I have a photographic memory. If you try to alter the crime scene by hiding some evidence, I'll know right away. Please don't slip up here and disappoint me. Any mystery where the whodunit is solved by a culprit slip-up or misspeak is only third-rate, don't you think? I don't understand what you're saying, but try to refrain from incautious remarks. Father, are you there? Please answer me. Natsui started walking around, calling out in a loud voice, refusing to let Erika say any more. There was a knock. Kyrie and the others who had gone down to the courtyard had returned. So father isn't here at all. After all, he might be tied up and shut away somewhere around here. We were just searching for him. I'm surprised he managed to shut himself away in a place like this for all that time. Give it up, Nason. We can't change anything now. I wonder what Madame plans to do. Get paid back for all the lies she's told up until now. Shh. Let's leave fate in God's hands. Yes. Many people clambered around Kenzo's vast study, looking here and there, inside the closet and in the bathtub, even in the refrigerator and under the study desk. They looked everywhere almost as though they were in a game of hide and seek. However, not only were they unable to spot Kenzo, they couldn't even find a single suspicious mark. It seems clear that Father isn't here. That's enough. Please don't disturb Father's precious study any further. That's right, that's right. There's nothing the Master hates more than having things moved around without his permission. Father's nowhere to be found. Maybe he really was caught up in that crime. Though we can't be sure of that. Natsui averted her gaze once more. It's okay, Natsui. We truly do have our backs against the wall. On the off chance that someone entered the study, I'd planned to trick them by saying he'd probably gone for a walk somewhere. However, humph. No one would believe that I'd get dressed up for a casual midnight stroll at a mansion where a murder has occurred and many people have been killed, though I wouldn't put it past myself to do such a thing. Come now, Kenzo. Be a good boy and hide under the bed. It's okay, Natsui. You may remain calm. It's possible to prove that someone exists, but you can't prove that someone doesn't exist. In other words, the human world is one which, regardless whether something exists or not, you can make it so that they exist. And the shadows that can make such things exist are themselves the world of us witches, the world of demons. You mean a devil's proof. Yes. So, don't worry. The power of demons will most certainly protect you. If it could protect the honor of the father and the husband, I wouldn't mind sacrificing this body of mine to demons. Your resolve is good. Don't be so anxious. I most certainly will not let Kenzo be killed. At that time, a dry sound suddenly rang out twice. Erica had clapped her hands, seeking everyone's attention. Though such an action should have been above a guest's place, for some reason it already felt like a natural right of hers. After all, she was the detective. I think that's enough. Ushiromiya Kenzo-san is nowhere to be found in the study. Yeah, we've searched everywhere he could have been hiding. Dad's nowhere to be seen. Furthermore, we found nothing that looks suspicious. Yes, we didn't find anything at all. Erica said it again. They hadn't been able to discover anything. In that case, we mustn't loiter around this room. Do you understand how angry Father would be if he learned that so many people were looking through his study? Ava-san, you said you were prepared to take the responsibility, didn't you? Are you prepared for him to break off relations with you for the rest of your life? That's for Father to decide, not you. Silence, please. I'd like to lay out the situation. At 11 o'clock last night, the last person to meet Kenzo-san in this room was Natsui-san, right? Can anyone confirm that? Confirm. Yes, that's right. After all, the only one who claims that Natsui really did stop by here is Natsui-san herself. There wouldn't be a problem if Kenzo confirmed that Natsui-san really did come here last night, but that vital witness isn't here. So you're saying alibis are the foundation of a mystery? Yes, that's right. Alibis are important. Of course, they're almost useless when it comes to the actual theory making, but it's common courtesy to poke around those boxes. Heh. Even though you didn't ask for alibis regarding last night's murder, you are doing it for grandfather's disappearance. You really are a fickle person. Oh, don't worry. Have no fear that I will fully examine everyone's alibis regarding the murders of the first twilight later. So, can anyone confirm that Natsui-san visited here at 11 o'clock? If no one can, we'll be forced to doubt whether Natsui-san was really the last person to spot him. Are you saying that I can't be trusted? No, it's actually the opposite. I hope that you aren't the culprit. After all, that'd make this really boring. Only the worst third-rate mysteries have the most suspicious person as the culprit. Natsui-san is suspicious. Oh, wait a second. How can you say that? He's right. Calling Madam suspicious is the height of discourtesy. Be quiet, Dr. Nanjo Goda. Thank you. Erica-san, do you have some proof to justify such a rude outburst? Yes. Though it's so simple that it annoys me. Sorry to bother you with this TV drama quality evidence, but if you don't mind, why don't you just let us hear it? When Battler glared at her, a cold expression rose to Erica's face for an instant. But it was only for an instant. After smiling peacefully and gazing around at everyone, she started to talk. She looked like the main character in a play, who had come out on the stage and bathed in the spotlight. It's about this morning. Please remember that the time after the murders occurred, during the big uproar that followed, we wanted to tell Kinzo-san about the crime, but he wouldn't come out no matter how many times we called him on the telephone. Remember that time? Anyway, it isn't bad that we can't get in contact with him. In the worst case, Father might not even know that there's been a crime, right? Well, I wonder. Keenly noticing that people were starting to doubt Kinzo's existence, Cannon mumbled those words. Who was the last person to meet Father, and when? It was me. Last night. Up until the time of the uproar when Battler found the gold, I was in Father's study giving the daily report. So, at around 11 o'clock last night, Erica chuckled significantly. And what's your point? Ridiculous. I think Kairi-san probably did that intentionally. Am I right? What do you mean by that? I hoped someone might fall for it. I see. Thanks, Kairi-san. Actually, I was planning to say the same thing if you didn't. Is who saw the master last really that important? Yes. If we take the circumstances into account, then in response to the question, who met him last, it was very odd for Natsui to instantly answer me. Well, why? Madam told the truth without hiding anything. Be quiet. Why do you think it was odd? Why are you so sure that no one else met Kinzo-san after 11 o'clock? Well, that's because I watched as he went to bed. It's only natural to assume that he would be asleep until morning and not meet anyone. Considering the circumstances, it was easy to suspect the last person to spot him of having some kind of involvement with the case. A normal person in Natsui's position wouldn't say I was the last person to meet him. I met him at 11 o'clock. Right, Kairi-san? Yes, that's correct. A normal person would say, I met him at 11 o'clock. However, I'm not sure I was the last person to meet him. Something like that. Good. Claiming to be the last witness is usually quite difficult. That is, unless you know something that makes you sure that there were no other witnesses after you. In third-rate mystery novels, the last one to spot the victim is often the culprit. They killed the victim themselves, so they knew that no one else could have met the culprit later on, is how the argument goes. Ho ho ho. Couldn't that be nothing more than a minor misspeak? It's not important enough to be picked up out of the blue and focused on. Yes, that's nothing more than nitpicking. Isn't it a little too early to suspect Natsui-san because of a little slip of the tongue like that? Furthermore, you said she'd need a reason to be so sure that no one else spotted the master, but of course she had such a reason. She left the room after seeing the master go to bed. Following common sense, it's perfectly natural to assume that he probably wouldn't meet anyone else until the next morning. No. That isn't natural at all. After Natsui-san, Dr. Nanjo and Kumasawa all made this claim a short while ago. Please try to remember. And Natsui-san was the last person to meet him, right? At around 11 o'clock last night. I wonder if that means he slipped out of the study sometime after that and went somewhere else. Well, we must consider Father's fickle nature. It wasn't all uncommon for him to suddenly wake in the middle of the night claiming to have had a sudden revelation in a dream. Yeah, you can't say, oh, I knew for certain no one else would have seen him if he went to bed. It's common sense to assume he'd be in bed all night. But at the point, if you're establishing that it's common sense and to be expected for him to randomly get out of bed in the middle of the night and wander around, it contradicts itself. Great. And walk around the mansion. Isn't that right, Dr. Nanjo? True, this has happened, but with this, why are we having a flashback to something that happened 10 seconds? I feel it's relevant. It's fine. The person reading the novel will allow this. Right, Kumasawa-san? Ho ho ho. That's true. Perhaps he had a strange dream and slipped out of bed. That isn't uncommon at all, yes? That isn't at all uncommon at all, yes. Yeah, we definitely do have testimony that it wasn't at all uncommon for grandfather to suddenly slip out of bed late at night. Good, Anakin. Your memory is not bad, Battler-san. In other words, it's common knowledge to those in the Ushiromi head house, Natsui-san included, that Kinzo-san might wake up in the middle of the night on any given night on a whim and wander around. On top of that, they are aware that this happens quite often. Isn't that odd? If you knew Father often wanders around at night, there's no way you could be certain that he'd stay in bed until morning, right? It really is like a third-rate mystery, you know, that thing they do in the last 5 minutes where the culprit asks, "When did you first realize it was me?" And the detective answers, "Seriously, that's why I feel let down. If it turns out Natsui-san really is the culprit, this will be worse than a TV mystery. That's why I want to clear away the suspicion surrounding Natsui-san as soon as I can. I want to make sure this mystery isn't third-rate before I do anything else." What was that eyes? What was the eye thing she was doing? There's no need to get anxious on Natsui. This is a classic word game used by detective wannabes. What exactly is her point? How could she possibly corner you with this accusation alone? In the court of hell, all the demon jurors will declare you innocent. So calm down and don't get flustered. It may be true that Aunt Natsui looks suspicious when you say it like that. Still, it sounds like you're just nitpicking to me. But it is suspicious. Isn't this more than enough reason to suspect Natsui-san's hiding something? True. I would say that yes, it is justification to say that she's hiding something, but not that she's the murderer. Of all the unfair accusations. And how cowardly of you, Ava-san. Here's the thing, at this point, the gold has been discovered. And Kraus is being, even if you can't mention that Kraus has been taken captive and you're still required to hide at some point later on, at this point, the gold is discovered, you're able to completely pay off everything you fucking owe and still be perfectly fine, and Jessica's already dead. And you have no guarantee Kraus is going to be returned unscathed. And you have an unknown person that is definitely doing things behind the scene. At this point, your best option is to say, "Everyone, I'm not the murderer, but I have lied about something. Kenzo's been dead for over a year." Like, we knew it. Let me finish. Kraus was embezzling from Father. We wanted to buy some time to cover that up. So we pretended that Kenzo was still alive. And then you go from there. You're the sole person who can confirm that I really was here at 11 o'clock, aren't you? Is this true, Ava-san? Oh, did that happen? I'm sorry. At the time, I was losing my head because of the recently discovered gold, so I forgot all about Bamba and Natsui-san until a second ago. So, Ava-san, you can confirm Natsui-san was a witness at 11 o'clock. Yes, unfortunately, I'm able to acknowledge that one part of Natsui-san's story. But only that she came out of this room. Well, what are you implying? Oh, I'll tell you. In fact, I've wanted to say this for a long time now. I do realize it's improper to bring this up in the middle of such a tragic murder case, but the timing now is just too perfect. You know what I'm talking about, don't you, Natsui-san? The servants gulped and held their breaths. It seemed that they hadn't been able to hide it after all. In the middle of this heavy silence, Ava fingered her trump card, and Natsui tried to act calm. Both space and time grew heavy as lead, then swallowed up everything. Just when did Kenzo-san disappear? I wonder. Erika's words, spoken almost casually, tore that atmosphere to pieces like shattering glass. Simply put, we haven't met him once at the family conference this year or the last. That's right. We suspected it since last year. Seeing as how my son and the others have just been killed, this may not be the time or place to press you on this, but there's a chance that this has something to do with the crime, so pressing you is just what we'll do. It's possible that you have a motive for hiding Father's death. We have reason to suspect that you're embezzling his assets. If Father were to die, an investigation would be conducted for the distribution of the assets and your embezzlement would be exposed. That's why you hid the fact that Father's already dead. I see. That's more than enough for the why done it. This keeps getting more and more third rate. Boring. I don't know what you're talking about. You say I'm hiding the head's death. I most certainly won't forgive such a reckless accusation. That's right. In addition to Madam, the other servants take care of the master on a daily basis, and they see him all the time. Okay, how you gonna fucking prove that, Goda? You've just opened up more options for them to prove. Genji-san, Shannon-san, and Kanon-kun. Even Dr. Nanjo and Kumasawa-san meet with him often. But perhaps because he doesn't trust me, I haven't seen him even once since last year. But... Be quiet, Goda! Eek! My apologies. Aren't all of the witnesses beside Natsui-san servants employed by her? So you used money to make them follow your story? Ah, man, this is really third-rate. Pitiful, pitiful. I'm disappointed, Natsui-san. So I guess I'll have to finish this now. Finish what? Ushiromiya Kenzo-san. What is it? An uninvited guest? You don't exist, do you? You're a ghost whose death was concealed by those humans who didn't want it known because of the inheritance problem. Humph. Heh. Ghosts are supposed to quickly pass on to the next world. Even though this is the first time we've met, I've yet to give you a proper greeting. My apologies. Good day, pleased to meet you, and goodbye. So close to Erika's face that you could barely have wedged a sheet of paper between them, Beato's pipe came to a sudden stop. And a good day to you, too! I'm the Ushiromiya family alchemist, Beatrice the Golden. I'll be your opponent in this fight from here on out. Glad to meet you. I'm the detective of this game, Furudo Erika. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. Again, Rika Furude. And now, goodbye. So, you're Lady Byrne Castell's next piece after Angie. I'm afraid I didn't get to fight with her to my satisfaction in the end. I'm glad I'll be able to lock horns with you this time, Lady Byrne Castell's piece. My master is almighty omnipotent. A fool like you couldn't even begin to compare with her. I accept your challenge. Cackle. You really are calm, even though a witch has appeared before you and is about to fight with magic and fantasy. If you were a battler, you'd be lying on the ground screaming that this can't be possibly be a mystery anymore. Yeah, even in a mystery game, parallel universes like this have gotten popular lately. You know about the pure reasoning space and all that. Ayatsuji Yukito doesn't make his debut until next year. You sure are picky for a witch. You think you're on the same level as a witch? Don't be so full of yourself, you mere human. When Beato snapped her fingers, something bounced around the room at terrifying speeds. It was a stake of the witch, a witch's wedge that contained the power of the blue truth within it. Of course, a mere human like Erika couldn't follow that terrible speed with her eyes. Erika understood this, so she didn't attempt to look at every which way, stupidly trying to spot it. Eat this, fool. Why am I imagining Doppo Orochi from Baki the Grappler from his fight with Yujiro Hanma? Or even Keiichi, Mightiest Disciple. With a terrible sound, Lucifer's blue stake buried itself into Erika's right collarbone. It pierced all the way through her back. Lucifer spun and rebounded, landed in front of Beato, and vanished with a shrill laugh. Erika wasn't blown back, but she had been run through by the blue wedge. So, this is that so-called blue truth. Well then, let me hear your views. You can't deny the possibility that Natsui met with Kenzo at 11 o'clock. During the 6 hours or more before you pushed your way into the study, Kenzo had many chances to escape from it. Because of this, you can't state decisively that Kenzo doesn't exist. Beato announced that with an expression worthy of her title as a witch. Erika was silent. Was she too shocked to speak? There was no anguish in her expression. She was just quietly listening to Beato's blue truth. No, judging by her disdainful expression, it's probably more appropriate to say that Beato's words went in one ear and out the other. Good. Let's start with the classic moves. By the way, this thing really is stuck good. I can't take it out. She tried pulling out from the front and from the back of the blue wedge that pierced her, but it didn't budge an inch. However, her indifferent, relaxed expression didn't budge an inch either. You can't take it out. The blue truth can only be defeated by the red truth. For one such as yourself, a guest who came to this island at most a day ago, there is no truth that can possibly be known. That means there exists no red truth that you can use. In other words, this is checkmate. We're going to immediately say something in red. I see. So that's what kind of space this is. In that case, I'll need a piece suitable for fighting a witch. I'm the detective. My role is to take on the human culprit. You are a witch, and there does exist a fitting piece to use against witches and demons. Let me introduce you, the Holy Bible. Fucking Binding of Isaac. Miss Delanor? It looks like it's your turn. Delanor? I thought so. I was certain you'd bring that piece in sooner or later. The 10 wedges with which to hunt witches. The Archbishop of Witch Hunting Delanor. There's no more fitting piece in a battle against demons. I have my double Elrica and the greatest natural enemy of witches, Delanor. I have now taken control of the 7th rank with my 2 rooks. Or castles, however you want to call them. Let me show you, Lambda Delta, and you too, Beatrice. Now you'll see how useless your struggling is. Giggle, ha 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 ha. The air shone brightly, and the piece Erica had guided there showed its form. I definitely like the chess motif we're going with there. Trying to think of what anime that reminds me of. Why do you look so bored? You at least look less bored in this picture. Burn Castell's double-in servant. Well, you just like fucking shadow clone jutsu'd, and then it's your servant? This is like Naruto doing a shadow clone jutsu and fucking himself. This manifests in the human world. Because she is human, she cannot use magic and the like. However, she can appeal to Burn Castell on a higher level plane to obtain miracles and various authorities. Why does this sound like the fucking Quincy's from fucking Bleach? Authorities she can use. So it would probably be an exaggeration to call her a human capable of wielding the power of a witch. No exaggeration. Through Burn Castell, she has been given the detective's authority while on the game board. That form resembled a clergy member, perfectly suited for confronting an evil witch. It is a pleasure to meet you. Delanor Inox is my name. Even though this space was like a bomb just waiting to go off, she introduced herself in a neat and frank manner. Her out-of-place appearance, completely different from those of the demons and witches, felt blatantly odd and had a kind of severity to it. This is the first time I've met you, but I've heard all the rumors. So, this doesn't truly feel like a first meeting. The same goes for me, Miss Beatrice. The detailed materials Izerna Dumfra has on you are summarized in 600 pages. I always read such reports, so this doesn't feel like the first meeting to me either. The Secretary of Hell could summarize the 600 pages into 6 letters. Allow me to ask. Danger. A fitting summary. When I return, I will summarize the materials on you using only 2 letters. More. Out of respect. Executed. So I'm cute now? Cackle. You're too polite, my guess. Then let us continue. Miss Beatrice, I, Delano, the head inquisitor of the heresy, do humbly accept my role as your opponent. My first move is over. If you can't remove the blue wedge from that Fruto Erica over there, then you might as well totter back up to heaven and get back to your usual boring job of stamping forms. Please, do something about this wedge thing. It looks like Beatrice-san thinks she's already achieved checkmate with this alone. After making a show of tapping her finger on the blue wedge that pierced her, Erica shrugged as though taunting Beatrice. But Beatrice? It's okay, I'm just toying with her a bit. After all, things get bad, I can grab Kenzo and run out of here whenever I want. I can leave this room at any time and go anywhere. That is useless. Ho?